You're watching Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Watch any major award ceremony. Not right now, you're busy.
This gum has no flavor.
But what those keen couple of eyes of yours will quickly notice is the way the camera moves. You've seen it carry weightless over a pink-suited, genetic lottery-winning Ryan Gosling as he sings at the Oscars. You've also seen it on the Grammys, The Bachelor, Super Bowl halftime
Amazing
show,
Race,
The Real Housewives,
The
Kennedy Center Honors Award, 90 Day Fiancé, RuPaul's Drag Race, Jr., Dancing with the Stars. All of it gets filmed with the same camera tech called a Jimmy jib. And while the big, sweeping camera technique of these jibs might be etched into our collective brain matters at this point, this way we experience a production wasn't even possible until the 1990s. In this audio world between our ears, this is a story about picture, and how one family leveraged a new type of tech to help define the way we all see the world.
I'm Rob Bolton, and I'm owner and operator at Camera Moves and Camera Moves Telecrane.
All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves a bit. I'm Matt Brown, and this is The Growth Show, a special series brought to you by The Hustle Daily Show, all about how to grow a business, an idea, or a movement.
I think this is it.
Your destination is on the right.
Thank you.
I'm at an undisclosed location in the Valley, here in LA.
Yo, buddy. The outside of Scott's is like a fortified castle?
There's a lot of big equipment kicking around. You understand.
Hello, Scott.
Hey, Scott, it's Matt.
Oh, hey, Matt. You here?
Yes. So, look, I can write a script like there's confetti in the air, but a camera operator, I am not. I need to see a Jimmy jib. And this is Hollywood, baby. There's got to be an expert with a Jimmy jib kicking around their garage, right?
I'm Scott Acosta. I'm a camera operator, specifically a jib operator or crane operator.
Every bolt in the Jimmy jib has a story.
And this is simply a RC car Futaba servo, and this just
And
allows
Scott,
innovative because no other crane before it had done a cable like this.
knows them all.
In here, there's no ball bearings in here whatsoever. There's just a clamp that pushes it very rudimentary, super rudimentary, but it works.
The man's worked on every reality show you can imagine. His recent IMDb includes camera operation for the films of both Taylor Swift's Eras Tour and Beyoncé's Renaissance Tour. Heard of him? So, crane and jib style camera work is everywhere now. But in the early days of filmmaking, everyone was shot head to toe. Then the close-up was discovered, and cameras started moving.
In the early days, it would be the dolly was the primary camera movement tool. The dolly came from bomb loading equipment that they used to load bombs onto airplanes post-World War II.
And this opened up Pandora's box, because if the camera could move, what else was possible? Which takes us to one of the darker sides of Hollywood. I know, which one, right? It's impossible to tell the backstory of filmmaking without running into D.W. Griffith. At his best, he's remembered as the wildly innovative auteur director credited with coining the phrase lights, camera, action. At his worst, he's remembered as the Birth of a Nation guy. Griffith's 1915 film Birth of a Nation was criticized for its blatant racist depictions. So for his next film, Griffith pulled out all the stops to create something as a response to his critics. In 1916, he released Intolerance and introduced the world to the very first crane shot, floating overhead and diving through crowds during a royal celebration in ancient Babylonia. And the industry has never looked back. But the crane wasn't ready for prime time.
You're going to have a camera operator on the crane, for sure, because he's got to operate the camera. And you have a first AC that's going to be riding along, because that person's going to be pulling focus. So those two people would be sitting on the crane. Yeah, on the dangerous side, in my opinion. And then on the back end of the crane, you would definitely have at least one grip, but most likely two, because this thing weighed a shit ton. You had Probably a fat camera operator and a medium-sized AC. In the old days, it was always men, so picture 400 pounds of human at least, right? You have the mount, you have the camera, so there might be 1,000 pounds on the end of it.
So early crane shots were limited to big budget films. For now. Because the 80s ushered in a surge of cable TV viewers. And as the 90s rolled around, networks needed a way to bring all that otherworldly energy of Hollywood into people's living rooms. That's when Jim Stanton created the Jimmy Jib, a new kind of camera crane that just one person could control, and with no one hanging off the end over other people's heads. The camera could be operated remotely from the base, 2 feet firmly on the ground, and it was a lot cheaper to rent.
You know, the positive things about the Jib were, one, you could afford it. You could buy it, 25 grand, 20 grand, depending, if you have backup equipment, extra monitors, extra remote heads, all this stuff, it gets more expensive. But say, with a basic budget of like, say, $30,000, you're making a crane shot. Where does that fucking happen? And eventually evolved into a system that you could fit in cases that fit in aircraft as check-in luggage. Pre 9/11, you could get that on an airplane for $25. Take 6 of those cases, you shipped a crane for $300. For instance, I did Amazing Race season 1, and we traveled an entire jib package all the way around the world. We traveled it in aircraft, we traveled it in light aircraft, Cessnas, we traveled it on donkeys, on elephants, hired 50 people for $5 a day, and each person carried something, and we went up a mountain, that kind of thing. So you could not do that with any other crane system or any other jib arm system at the time. There was just nothing that you could do that with.
At the dawn of the Jimmy Jib, there was a ragtag group of innovators that made up the small but growing TV industry. And a lot of them had the same last name, Walton.
You want to start?
My name is Mary Walton,
I'm Rob Bolton,
and I am the
owner and operator.
business coordinator for
Camera Moves.
Camera Moves and Camera Moves
Telecrane.
Telecrane. My brother had a video production company in New York City, and
Nepotism.
he asked me to do a summer internship. And then I just kept coming back, and that company hired Rob's brother Chris as a director, Rob's brother Bruce as a grip, and also Rob as a grip.
And Mike, I think, is a writer at some point.
And Mike is a writer. You're right.
Nepotism.
Rob had worked with cranes a lot on other jobs, and one day he took a trip to LA and saw the Jimmy Jib for the first time. Rob quickly saw that this could be a game changer for television, so he and Mary bought one.
I was the first jib business in the multi-camera world. Because it happened gradually at first. That first year was like, oh my God, what have I done? And we had put not everything we owned. It was, is this really going to work out? I remember not even a jib job, but driving into the city in my big old Hertz Penske van and on a Mike Lieberman job. And I got there early and I'm just sitting like, how am I possibly going to keep all these balls in the air? How am I going to... I'm going to need this van is going to fall apart in 2 years. How am I even going to pay for a new van to keep being able to move it? What did I do moving out to the country? What was I thinking? So at first it was just nervousness at the start.
As jib technology evolves, so must the Boltons.
Yeah, I'm ready to phase out. I'm frankly exhausted. We're already shifting the work to the boys, and God bless them.
For us to have to close the doors when he retires would be really hard for us, I think. So to know that it would be hard for
Not
me.
so much.
So to know that Ryan and Dan are going to continue, working with family can be challenging. We've had some challenging conversations, but in the end, I'm so proud of them and what they represent with our company.
Sometimes legacy comes from a product's value over time. Other times, it's passing something through generations. And sometimes, it's all of this at once. It's how the way we work with these products defines our lives and our sense of purpose in the world. It's a heady term, legacy, but we're all going to leave one behind. So why not embrace change? Make these new technologies our own and become the best at what we do.
The nicest compliment I ever got from a director was, "Nobody does what you do with the jib." Sorry.
You need a tissue?
I'm bad at this.
Today's episode was written and produced by me, Matt Brown. Be sure to subscribe to the show, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to the Hustle Daily newsletter over at thehustle.com. That does it for me. See you next episode. Stay weird.